Good everyone, Calvin here from Shear Sheep New Zealand. Now I'm about to show dead animals, so this is your warning. If you don't want to see dead animals, stop watching. I've lost some lambs. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of a DIY autopsy, check over. We're not going to cut them apart, but we're going to try and determine what's gone wrong. So again, your warning, if you don't like seeing dead animals, stop watching. Right, here I have two lambs. Now these two were out of number 62, who was up with the hoggets in Mamaku, and I heard she was lambing. She was meant to come home on Friday. My septic tank shat itself, literally shat itself, so I was fixing that and focused on that and trying to sort that problem, and I didn't get up to pick up the lambs, and there was fertilizer to put on. There was just too much going on. Totally my mistake, okay, and I accept that. But let's look at these lambs and see what goes on. When you see here that the lamb is, it's not covered in meconium, it's not all bright yellow. I think I've got some footage of number 56. She had bright yellow lambs, meaning they probably could have due to come out a couple of days before they did. That's an indication when they are bright yellow, but these ones aren't. So this ewe wasn't actually due for a couple more days, but they look all pretty good. They look fully formed. They don't look premature. They're an okay weight. They're about 3 kilos, so on the small side. And I do get in and I weigh them. And well, if I turn this lamb over, you can see it's cleaned on both sides. So the ewe has licked both sides. Now to do that, the lambs had to stand up. And this one is the same. This was probably the second. She probably didn't spend quite as much time on this one. But it is cleaned on both sides. So those lambs stood up. They got up. They were standing. Which means they would have been viable lambs. Now, she's a little bit light in condition, and that's why they're a little bit small. Her udder isn't fully come up. She's normally a pretty good feeder, and she's normally a really good mum. But the lambs were found, I didn't get footage because I was annoyed at myself, okay, for not getting this ewe picked up and brought home. They were about that far apart from each other, which is quite unusual. Hey little buddy. Sorry about that. Okay. Now, normal check. No ruptures, no nothing, no problems there. All fine there. Cleaned. Nothing in the mouth. So she's gone around the head. She's cleaned the mouth. No bag over the head, no birthing bag over the head. So, as I said, these lambs did get up. But the problem being here, nothing. Zero in the bellies. So they managed to stand, but she didn't manage to feed them. Now this ewe's quite an unusual ewe, because as a hogget she had a pair of twins. And one of those twins was Lulu, and she was at the back paddock up by where the chickens were, and she'd been looking a little bit off colour, and I went up one afternoon and she's lying in the paddock, and I'm like, oh, she's dead. So I went and picked her up to find that she was still alive. So into the house, revived her, fed her, got her sorted. We treated her, and she lived in the house for 10 days. Well, after part of that time she wasn't totally allowed in the house. I didn't want a lamb in the house, so I chucked her out in the paddock with number 96, and those two have actually buddied up for life. They're always together, crawling through fences together. And after 10 days I opened the gate and let number 62 and the weather lamb into the paddock, and she walked over the lamb and said, "You're my lamb," and continued feeding it. That afternoon I went out to feed it. I came back in with a full bottle of milk because she was totally full. So this ewe is quite unusual in that fact. What I believe has happened in this case is, because the lambs were apart from each other, that she was disturbed. Here I'm pretty careful. I'm away from urban areas where they are. It's like lifestyle blocks. Could be cats, dogs. The hoggets themselves could have been interfering. I reckon she was running back in between the two of them. She was disturbed. Possibly the milk hadn't come in properly, but she's done all the mothering stuff. and then it's been cold, they haven't got a feed, and they've passed overnight. It's really upsetting for me, and totally my fault. And I'm beating myself up a bit about this, but we've got to remember that, you know, as farmers we are busy. We've got other things. I've got mechanical business as well, lifestyle block, main farm, pigs, chickens, all those things that go along with it, and families. So we do make mistakes. And unfortunately in this mistake, it's not the money so much, it's that these lambs were viable. I may have been able to save them if they were here. And that's a may. Doesn't mean I definitely could have. I may have. So it's really sad for me. She'd already been scheduled because she is light through the winter to be leaving my flock. And I would have liked to send her out on a high, rearing 2 nice twins, rather than on a low. And yes, she was going to get extra attention, but she was leaving anyway, so and she still will be leaving now. So it's pretty sad. Money wise, you know, store lambs might be worth $150 a year, fat lambs might be worth $200. These $300 to $400 that I'm not making, but it's more the fact that these lambs could have been viable. It's a pretty horrible way to die, from being hungry, and it's really sad. Now, if you're on a small block and you're having lamb death, especially during the season, and I have one stillborn up there, and by the time I got up there, something had eaten it. So again, I suspect there's predators around, you know, cats or probably a cat, even a domestic dog. So there are predators around up there. Something had eaten the stillborn that I had up there, which could have been a hawk, likely, or a cat. So if something was hanging around upsetting this ewe, that would have affected her ability to mother these lambs. And she will focus on the predator, saving herself. Nature will save the mum before they save the babies. But if you are having issues, especially if you're on a small block, what I would normally do if I wasn't sure why a lamb died, and in the case of that stillborn, I'd gone up there, I was going to pop it in a bag and pop it in my freezer. And I do that because if you have reoccurring problems, often by the time you get to that, to a point where you realise there's a problem, you can take in, you can select an animal that's died, and it may have died of other causes. But that first one that died is likely to be something that's, is the issue if you're having repetitiveness, such as toxoplasmosis, which I had a few years ago. It's really hard to deal with. These animals have been vaccinated for toxoplasmosis, that one the ewes had. Doesn't mean I didn't have it with that one that was stillborn, but I would have liked to pop it in the freezer. Touch wood, I'm not getting any reoccurrences of that problem. These two, I know why they've died. Sad. I've got to focus on my ones that are alive as well. Okay, sorry. Hope that wasn't too gory. It's dead lambs. It's part of farming, and gives you an idea that when we go out, we can check what's gone on to determine what's happened with that ewe. And I don't think it's the ewe's fault. I think quite certain because of the distance the lambs were apart and that they weren't fed. And her udder actually looks okay. I did check it. It's a little bit smaller than it would be. If she hasn't come into milk, she was going to in a couple of days. And again, that saving thing, I really think she was disturbed. Too much going on around her. Lambs didn't get a feed, and that was game over for them. So I really wish I had managed to get them home. But it's also a reminder that not to repeat this. I will be getting up there quick smart 10 days before lambing to get those hoggets home. I don't like moving pregnant sheep that close to lambing, but I am going to be getting those hoggets home and bringing home just the ones that are going to be lambing, so I can focus on those. The few dries are going to stay up there at the moment. So I hope that's been helpful. We'll talk again soon. Catch you later.